Hey y'all. Alright, this video is going to kind of piggyback off of the last one. So if you saw the last video, you know that it was all about how to eat and balance your fitness and health goals while it's like summer, barbecues, party, and all this stuff. But another thing that's come up with a lot of my clients recently is when they have friends or family in town. And how do you stay on track when you do that? So it's a little bit different than like a party. Like you're going, say it's like a barbecue, right? Okay, you kind of know what you're going to do at home earlier. You go to the event, or even if you're hosting it, but then it's over, right? But say your friends or your family come in for 2, 3, 4 days. Now your whole schedule is completely thrown off. And a lot of people feel that when, you know, they have friends or family come into town, not even feel like they have to, but they want to, you know, host them, right? Like you're excited that they're going to be there and people are looking to you to say, hey, like, let's go to this place to get this coffee. Let's go to this place to get this burger. Let's go to this place because it's a great bar or whatever, right? So you're going to be a lot more social just automatically, unless you guys are just having like a super chill weekend, which also is awesome. I've done that with friends too, where you just kind of get together and you do kind of very minimal stuff. Those are amazing weekends as well. But say somebody's coming in from like out of town and they want to kind of come explore, see where you're living. How do you handle that? And the first thing I want to reiterate again is that nobody is making you do anything that you don't want to do as far as your health or your fitness goals. You are 100% in charge of that all the time. You're not under surveillance. Nobody is saying, oh, like, you know, are you going to eat this? Did you eat that? Why are you doing this? Now, these people who are coming to stay with you, whether they're friends or their family, are most likely going to ask, especially if you have like, you know, you have meals and like Tupperware in your fridge and maybe this is all new to you and they haven't really experienced that before and they're like, why do you have all this meals prepped? Like, why can't we go out to eat all the time? And like, maybe you guys have two completely different lifestyles. And a lot of that just comes down to explaining to them like why you're doing it, what you're doing. And I find that most people are super, super understanding once you explain to them like why you're doing something. And if they're honestly not understanding, then they're probably not real friends. Just saying, hate to break it to you through the YouTube video. Family is a little bit tougher because they are sometimes set in their ways with things that they believe. And I've had a lot of clients who really struggle with their families in general. Like, hey, my family does not support this. This is particularly with the competition. The competitions, because it is so extreme and it's so like radical that like some families just don't understand it. And they might think that it's just like a vain sport. And like, why would you put yourself through that? You just look skinny and unhealthy. So I do understand where they're coming from in that aspect, because it does, like the day-to-day, like when you're on stage, like it's a little bit different, but the day-to-day, like leading up to the show, like it does kind of look like, oh, are you okay? You know, and unless your family's been through it a few times, it is a little bit harder, you know, like now my family is so supportive. Like they help me prep my food if I'm home. They like everything, like they know to the T, like how I'm going to look, how I'm going to feel. Like it is like a no factor, like no problems at all. But for people who are maybe newer to the sport, that can be an issue. So part of it is just explaining to them and not getting defensive. Oh, you don't like my prep meals? You know, because especially if you are dieting, then people are like, whoa, okay, little temper tantrum there. And again, I've been there too, so I can understand how you would be like that, get a little defensive, but that's not helpful. So if you do, you know, have kind of this new routine, like, hey, I wake up and I've been going to the gym in the mornings, right? And maybe your friend, you know, wants to sleep in. That's cool. Just, hey, I'm going to be going to the gym. If you want to come, totally come with me. If not, no problem. Because sometimes friends have completely different lifestyles than you. If it's the same lifestyle, it's not a big of a deal. You don't have to explain the whole food thing. You don't have to explain the whole working out thing. But sometimes you've had friends who like, maybe like you've fallen into this like new fitness and health path and maybe they haven't, right? So they're, you know, sleeping late, not going to the gym. They're eating maybe 1 or 2 times a day. And they drink a lot, right? Which, again, is fine, but that's completely different than, like, what my clients are dealing with, right? When they're like, hey, this is not how I'm eating and how I'm living, so how do I handle this? So here's how you handle it. You do you. You do your stuff, and then you also hang out with them. It's literally as simple as that. You can wake up, go to the gym, get your workouts done, and then earlier in the day, typically what I do with people, especially if they're off-season, if they're prepping, again, hey, sorry, you gotta eat your food. But say they are off season, right? And okay, have all your meals in the morning, you know, first few meals, morning, afternoon, whatever, where it's structured, you know exactly what you're eating, and just explain to someone like, hey, I'm going to have to be eating probably my own food. And then, you know, maybe 1 or 2 meals a day where somebody's around, you can go out to eat with them and make good choices. And you can either fit that in. Some people, again, if they're kind of in an off-season period, we have an untracked meal. That's perfect for that. Hey, your friends are in town, let's go have an untracked meal. You guys can go out on Saturday night and enjoy. Have a few drinks, have a burger, whatever you want. So it all is about balancing things, but still staying on this track that you have and not veering like, oh, my friends are coming into town, I'm just gonna fall off the face of this cliff and completely neglect all of my habits. That's a terrible idea. Not only will you feel bad, like physically, like your body's not going to like that, but then you're gonna mentally be like, wow, why did I do that? Now, same token, you don't need to be a total psycho when people are coming into town, like, this is my house, my rules, and we gotta eat how I want to. They're like, okay. Not saying that anybody listening is doing that, but sometimes that like neurotic voice in our head can want to say that, right? And then you get really anxious when people come in and kind of like mess up your routine. So all you have to do is when the person comes into town, you guys are most likely gonna be planning stuff like, hey, I wanna go do this, how about this, blah, blah, blah. Just say, hey, these next, you're here for 4 days. 3 of those days I'm gonna go train in the morning. If you wanna come, you can. And then I'm probably just gonna eat out like 1 or 2 times a day when we're here. And that's how you do it. It's never going to be perfect. It's going to be a little sticky. It's going to require a little awkward conversations. But the worst thing you can do is just completely fall off and, negate all of the positive habits that you've developed and this kind of role that you're on with like your training and your nutrition program. But on the same token, don't completely just ignore, your friends or your family and never want to go do something. Now, last caveat, again, if you're on prep, you're going to have to be a little bit tighter with stuff and there's going to be a lot less wiggle room. Now, I am big promoter of being as flexible as possible, meaning you can still go out to eat when you're prepping. But flexible does not mean flexible choices. I'm talking getting protein and a steamed vegetable, right? Like it's flexible in the sense that you're not cooking it, but it's tight in the choices that you're making. Because if you go out and you start ordering all these weird foods. Oh yeah, it looked about this. Oh, I found the macros online. Those are wrong. Like most of the time, I would not trust a macro calculator to save my life on a restaurant. Just saying, just for people's reference. So if you're really trying to be on point and you're not having an untracked meal and you want to know what's in it, get single ingredient foods. Plain as that. Simple, simple, simple. Order single ingredient foods. You know exactly what's in it. Worst case scenario, they probably cooked it in a little bit of oil or butter. Add a little bit more fats. So usually if I'm trying to be super, super tight when I'm eating out, I'll say, hey, I want a top sirloin, a filet, a piece of fish, whatever it is, like lean protein. I want this cooked dry. You will know if it's cooked in oil or butter, if it tastes a little better than normal, especially vegetables. If you're like, wow, this is the best broccoli I've ever had, it's probably covered in butter and oil. Most broccoli that you taste at home that's steamed isn't that good, right? I mean, it's just not like a coincidence. So, I always ask for stuff plain if I'm, tracking like that. And, just in, little in case, okay, there's probably a little bit more fats on it. And that's how I manage eating out and prepping. And it is totally possible. You can be social. You just might not be able. And sometimes you can go out and like, ooh, shocker, you don't have to eat either. Like if you really don't want to, right? Like there's sometimes we're just like, I'm not really feeling this, but like I want to go out with these people, right? Or this person. Perfect example. I was peaking for one of my shows last year and it was after USA's. So I was, second day of peak week. And so I'm depleting, high cardio, very low calories, and we've been at the show all day. It's finals for the girls. So I just had a girl turn pro and I had a few other clients as well. We all go out after the shows. It's like what we do. So we have this like extravagant burger bar and all this crazy stuff. And what was I doing? I had water and some pickles. And it's not a problem. Like I was out later than I wanted to be and I wasn't eating and I was hungry. But guess what? I signed up for this. So it is possible. And that is probably the most extreme example. And I'm not suggesting to anybody listening that like you need to do that to be like hardcore or anything like that. But I'm just saying that it is possible and everything has to be looked at on a spectrum. So to summarize this, if you have friends or family coming into town and you think that they're going to throw off, your plans and your schedule and how you do everything in your routine, just lay it out to them. Hey, this is kind of what I've been doing. This is a cool new thing. Do you want to join me at the gym? I've been doing this program. Or, like if they're not working out. And if they are, then it's perfect. You guys can just go train together and then, go do like fitnessy things together if you want. And then as far as eating out goes, just, be moderate with it. Keep a few of your normal meals. And then when you do go out to eat, if it's, more than once a day, just be a little bit tighter with your choices. And that's it. Not the end of the world. It gets easier with time. I know this is really hard, especially if people are first starting out on their journey or just in general, like when they're introducing like kind of chaos into their new life, because most people are either very, very diligent or they're like again, off that cliff, like nose diving off the cliff. Like they're not doing anything healthy. So kind of finding that middle ground is really challenging for people, especially when they're first starting out. So hope this was helpful for you guys. I know this is something that a lot of my clients, talk to me about and we work through, because it's real life. Like, people have lives. You're not just gonna be this robot who wakes up and eats and trains and has nothing else going on. So thank you for tuning in. If you have not subscribed to our newsletter, please go to teamlocofit.com, hit the subscribe button at the top. You will love it. It's an awesome newsletter, put out twice a week, all educational content. And then if you're interested in coaching, you can apply there under the Apply for Coaching tab.